Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexis and today I will be doing the New Year Booktuber tag. This was started by Jessin from Jessin Reads Romance. I will be linking the original video in the description box down below. But with that being said, let's just hop into the questions. Number 1, what are you most excited about for 2023? So I did tab some of these, but most importantly, I want to be able to see more family and friends throughout 2022. I could probably count on my hands how often I even saw friends and family in person because of distance or just getting wrapped up in work and trying to maintain balance has not been easy. So I'm hoping to do more of that in 2023. I'm also hoping to get back into some hobbies, maybe new hobbies or old hobbies. Reading hasn't been too difficult. That's kind of been an escape for sure over the past year, but to the point where I've even been avoiding things such as being less responsive in messages, which is not usually how I am. I used to be more optimistic, and that mindset has been lacking for me. So I'm hoping to improve. And I certainly wish to travel because, again, because of the pandemic, the furthest I ventured was probably maybe Virginia back in 2021. And then for this year, it was for Niagara Falls. But I could count on my hands, again, how often I really went anywhere, even just out of state. That's not a lot. But I definitely want to do more of that in 2023 because I don't want to feel like I'm stuck here when in fact there's plenty of opportunities and experiences I have yet to try. Number 2, do you have a Goodreads challenge goal and why that number? Yes, so I am putting in 100 for my Goodreads goal because during 2022 I initially started with 50 as my goal, but I surpassed that by maybe 9 months into 2022, and I even had a couple reading slumps throughout the year. So I was still able to read over 120 books, and that included audiobooks, ebooks, physical books. I was able to digest it, absorb it, review them. So I'm certainly confident that I'll be able to read 100 books considering the various platforms and formats I use. Number 3, list 3 5-star predictions. The first one that I'm looking forward to is The Final Offer. This is the third book in Lauren Asher's Dreamland Billionaire series. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, I'm definitely a Disney fan. I've grown up with them. I still have their movies on VHS tapes and DVD, Blu-ray, all that. So I'm definitely into Disney and this Disney-inspired world that she developed. I'm also looking forward to the Second Chance romance, and it's supposed to be one of 3 siblings that are given these tasks by their late grandfather to do before gaining inheritance. And for this third son, he is finally going to face his demons and an old flame. So I'm assuming it's Second Chance, but I'm looking forward to that one. Another book I'm looking forward to is Anna Huang's King of Pride. This is the second book in her newest series. I believe it's the Kings of Sin set. There's going to be 7 total, like the 7 deadly sins. And this one is going to have a heroine who is half Filipina and half Chinese. I am so looking forward to that because I myself identify as half Filipina, and it's just something I haven't seen, and she hasn't proven anything wrong in the previous books I've read by her. And a total I've read so far by Anna Huang would be 5 books, including the Twisted series, along with King of Wrath, which is the book before King of Pride. So I'm positive, excited, but also concerned. So I'm hopeful. I'll leave it at that. And the third and final 5-star prediction I'm looking forward to is Score by Kennedy Ryan. This is expected to be released around summer or fall this year, hopefully. But it is the second book in her Hollywood Renaissance series. The first one was Real. That was the first book I ever read by Kennedy Ryan, and I enjoyed it, but it didn't have as much angst as some of her other books. So I'm kind of expecting more angst in Score because it's supposed to be between people who seem to have a second chance romance. It's also a workplace romance because they're working on the same biopic that was started in real. It's within the same world as many of her other books, so maybe there's some cameos. All in all, I know she's going to do well because she hasn't done anything that didn't work for me yet. So I'm fairly confident in this book. Number 4, what genre, subgenre, or trope do you want to read more? So in terms of genre, I do want to try to read more children's fiction, to be honest, because over the past year, I did tap into some series that were nostalgic reads for me, like Harry Potter. I reread that. Um, Although when I was younger, let's say elementary school, middle school, I wasn't an avid reader. I was more so the person who's really attentive in class and just really put my attention into the books that were in front of me through class and just be able to discuss that. And I really enjoyed discussions. So it's something I want to do is go back and read some children's fiction, maybe some fantasy, try the um, Percy Jackson series. I've been collecting American Girl books, so I want to try some of those. That also hints at some interests I have in historical reads. So that's in terms of genre, trying something new. But for subgenres within romance that I've been sticking with the past couple of years, I want to try more historical romances. I've kind of been leaning off of that for a majority of 2022. But I have plenty to read physically and electronically through my Hoopla library. So I'm hoping to get back into that. I'm also hoping to try more fantasy romances because I have maybe a handful that I've read and maybe like 2 that I even liked. So I'm hoping to find more that pique my interest. And yeah. Number 5, what trope do you think will be most popular in 2023? Looking back at what was trending on TikTok and what majority of people seem to be leaning towards, I would assume lighthearted romance, maybe rom-com situations tend to be really popular. But I am hopeful that forbidden romances would actually be more common. Maybe they are forbidden in terms of the workplace, in terms of culture, in terms of class. I tend to enjoy all of those because of the angst and just fighting for something that most people don't want you to have or don't expect you to have is just something that's so like precious to me because there's this feeling of overcoming what other people expect you to do. And yeah, so fighting for what you want despite other people's opinions is something I really admire about forbidden romances. I also enjoy second chance romances. So, again, this goes back to fighting for things that maybe have not been previously available to you or something you didn't think you could pursue at one time, but then now is the moment, now is the time, and you realize, hey, it's finally time for us to move forward together. So, those 2 tropes I'm leaning towards as most popular, hopefully for 2023. Number 6, name 3 bookish goals for the year. Um, okay, so I did end up counting how many physical books I have, and I have a little over 130 books or so. That is not including the ones that I want to purge. I will be doing a Pango Books purge in a few weeks to come. I do have a Pango Books account. You can see that link down below. But just talking about the books that I want to keep, I have a little bit over 130. But of those that I intend to keep, I want to read about 30% of that. So that would be about 39 books for 2023. Maybe make that 40. And assuming I stay on track, I will maybe have to read about 4 books a month physically that I own. So hoping to do that. I accumulated a lot of books over the past couple of years, but I have yet to touch them, and I feel like it takes up a lot of space that I didn't have to begin with. So hoping to do that. Um, and this goes into my next bookish goal, to purge books that I no longer want or have interest in. There are some books that I ended up buying because of hype around it or because of popularity, maybe from a TV show that I wanted to try, and they just it didn't work for me. Some of them I even DNF'd. So I'm hoping to purge more of those throughout 2023 and just make some money back so I can get other books that I really enjoy. And my third bookish goal is to read more diversely. This would, to me, mean new authors, different genres, mostly subgenres, because I don't see myself dipping too far outside of romance, and showing books with different representation. So, again, that could be someone or characters that have a different background from me, a different upbringing, maybe different class, different location, different sexuality, like who knows. I just want to be able to read more perspectives instead of just the ones that are always placed in front of me, because obviously there are some books that end up being more popular than others for marketing reasons, and I want to be able to get attached to books that maybe aren't as popular but still just as good. So number 7, name 3 personal goals for the year. I definitely want to be more productive. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been pretty recluse. And I want to be more productive in terms of picking up more on a second language. I do want to learn Spanish and Tagalog eventually. I've been watching more Filipino movies on Netflix. Thank God for Netflix, because that is where I get the most diverse content in terms of streaming services. And they just do a really good job at, the closed captions that help in terms of translation, having dub versus sub. I personally prefer sub so I can listen to the original language. It just works out better. And in general, the Philippines starts to talk more in Taglish, which is a combination of Tagalog and English. So I don't want to be a person who can't speak Tagalog fluently. I would like to be someone who can do both, because it is, to me, it looks like it is a dying language, and I don't want to be part of the reason that it is dying. I feel like, as someone who is from the culture and has family over there, I want to be able to converse and not have them accommodate me. I also want to get a full-time remote position. Right now, I work remotely for an internship that's like part-time, and I also work in a call center. I intend to go into something that is more aligned with my degree. I did go to school for graphic design, and in the long term, I want to go into UX design, which is like user interface, app development, websites, things like that. So I have been leaning more into learning that, but I kind of went on a little hiatus in terms of growth myself outside of work. So I'm hoping to pick back up on that. And yeah, do more self-care. I used to paint my nails more. I used to try different styles with my hair. I did do some cardio watching Chloe Ting's videos for a bit, but then I kind of fell off, and I want to be able to do those things because I know for a fact that I was definitely more positive and I felt better about myself because I felt like I was doing something that was for the best version of me, and I've kind of been leaning off of that over 2022. It's been a rough year, but looking back on things that I've accomplished, I realize now that, hey, I actually did do some things that didn't happen in 2021. So there's some growth, but I'd like to have more growth and more positive vibes in 2023. Last question: what do you want to leave behind in 2022? As I said, negative mindset. I just want to be better than what I have been over 2022. I want to be more than the situation is making me feel, if that makes sense. I also want to be better at forgiving, whether that be forgiving other people or forgiving myself. With some relationships over the past year, mostly with friends and family, I haven't been as understanding for situations. I also want to forgive myself again for not accomplishing goals that I previously set for myself. I thought I'd see myself in a better position a year ago, especially after graduating. I thought I would be more outgoing, and that didn't happen. I want to be able to forgive myself for not meeting my own expectations. In terms of books, I want to leave behind judgment in 2022, whether that be as a community, but mostly for myself, because I realized because of my own experiences, there are certain things I haven't bothered reading yet, or that I've been leaning off of because they're not things I'm used to, or I'm already uh, judging based on my own experiences. So, for example, something that I had on my TBR, but I haven't picked up yet because of, again, my personal experiences would be like priest romances. I was raised Catholic. I still go to church every now and then. There are some moral values that I still uphold. Of course, the church isn't perfect. I don't think any religion is perfect, but morally, I do think it provided a nice uh, base or a nice foundation for me. But to have religion represented in the romance genre, I'm more hesitant to read and definitely more judgmental about that. So I'm trying to, refrain from doing that and just give it a shot and see if it works out for me. If not, I'll just move on, and now I'll know more about my boundaries. But this is no hate to anybody who enjoys those. It's just, in my experience, it makes me a little uncomfortable to read about something about supposed figures who have this expectation within a community but then end up doing a 180, if that makes sense. So, for example, in a priest book, for a priest to fall in love with, say, a student, or I don't know, just another person within the church. It's just, I've been hesitant, but we'll see. I also want to, as a community, leave behind the covers that are inaccurate for the book that they are created for. For example, like discrete covers. I'm not opposed to discrete covers. I definitely prefer to see people because of lack of representation before. It's just, for example, historical romances. Some authors didn't even get step backs while others did, which are the full illustrated images after the initial cover. I also feel like it doesn't make sense to feel uncomfortable about seeing couples embraced on the cover, or seeing just people on the cover in general, when every other genre does the exact same thing, whether it be illustrated, photographic, or a mix of the two. It's really just within romance, and I don't understand how it can be so accepted or viral on social media to talk about, but yet when it comes to reality, you're not comfortable with seeing a person on the cover. So I just disagree about that. So make the covers match the genre that it's about. That would be nice. So rom-coms, maybe they'll have flat 2D images. If it's more contemporary sports, maybe have athletes on the cover or the love interest there in some way. I just want to see more couples on the cover. And the last habit I'm hoping to leave behind in 2022 is overspending, because I end up buying some books that I end up putting off for weeks or even months, and it makes no sense. I am not financially stable to the point where I can do that just yet, and also some of these books I've lost interest over time, so it again doesn't help me in the long run. And those are all my answers for the New Year Booktuber tag. Let me know in the comments down below your answers to these questions, or even share your own video. But with that being said, my name's Alexis, and until next time, take care, Happy New Year, and happy reading.